Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Now we're doing something just a little bit different today, a day that will live in infamy as Spiral Eve. Most of the time on this show we're either preliminarily trying a loose build of an archetype that's already proven to be powerful, like Paleozoic Frog or Trickstar, or a well-tuned build of an archetype that's not going to do anything soon, like Cyberdark or Ojama Assault Dragon, although that last one might be a little bit of a spoiler for the next video. Anyway, something we don't get to do very often is try to optimize the build of a deck that's going to be good, mostly because it's very hard to try and predict what the meta is going to look like. However, in this specific episode, we're going to try and optimize Spiral and engineer some staple combos. Now, we're doing this for two reasons. One, most of the existing resources for fledgling Spiral players recommend cards that aren't out yet. This list and the resultant combos aim to make use of the cards released in Sibir or earlier and nothing else. And two, I want to give individuals the information as to which cards are flexible, what their choices could be in those spots, and what games would look like in and against most of the other different iterations of the deck. Finally, for this episode specifically, there's going to be a combo detail and a deck list in the description. This is because I find it helpful to have offline resources for study, and I want to give you something to print out. So, long intro. Let's jump into deck edit. So first I'm going to show you a combo that you can do with cards that currently exist. This is a combo of SPYRAL Quick-Fix and Machine Duplication. You will open it occasionally and you'll feel like a giant sack when you do. I'll narrate it in real time, but remember that the entire step-by-step guide is in the description or the comments, wherever it fits, so you don't have to commit this to memory right now. We're going to start by normal summoning SPYRAL Quick-Fix. We'll label him QF1 because we go through all three. We'll activate QF1's effect, adding a SPYRAL Gear utility wire, then activate Machine Duplication, targeting Quik-Fix to special summon QF2 and 3, activate their effects, adding SPYRAL Gear Drone and SPYRAL Gear Big Red, then link summoning Spiral Double Helix in the rightmost zone using QF2 and 3. We're then going to activate the graveyard effect of QF2 by discarding SPYRAL Gear Drone, and then activate the effect of QF2 because remember, Double Helix counts as a super agent to add SPYRAL Gear utility wire to our hand. Next, we're going to activate SPYRAL Gear Big Red to special summon SPYRAL Gear Drone to the rightmost zone. This is going to allow us to know the contents of our opponent's deck and the top three cards so that we can hit the Spiral Double Helix effect that we are about to activate. He has to come back from playing Splatoon first, though. Any second. There it is. Okay. 3 spells. So we'll go ahead and call a spell for our Double Helix in order to use its effect to get a Spiral Master Plan from deck. Once we do that, we'll go ahead and activate the effect of Spiral Master Plan, adding a Spiral Mission Rescue to our hand. We go through all 3 of these, so I'll label this R1. We're going to link summon Proxy Dragon in the center right zone using Spiral Master Plan and QF1. This, of course, triggers the effect of Spiral Master Plan, adding a copy of SPYRAL Resort and SPYRAL Super Agent from our deck to our hand. Afterwards, we're going to go ahead and activate the SPYRAL Resort and then activate the effect, adding a SPYRAL Sleeper from our deck to our hand. We'll then activate the graveyard effect of QF1 by discarding R1. We're then going to activate the effect of QF1, adding a SPYRAL Gear Last Resort from our deck to our hand. Next, we'll activate the graveyard effect of R1, a special summon Master Plan, and then activate her effect, adding a Spiral Mission Rescue, or R2, to our hand. We're going to overlay QF1 and QF2 for Lyrical Recital Starling in the center zone, then activate her effect to add a DD Crow from our deck to our hand. Afterwards, we're going to link summon Firewall Dragon. We go into all 3, so we'll start by labeling it FW1 in the center right zone using Spiral Master Plan, Lyrical Recital Starling, and Proxy Dragon. This causes the grave effect of QF1 to be available once again, so we'll activate it by discarding R2. We're then going to activate the normal effect of QF1, adding a copy of SPYRAL Gear Drone from our deck to our hand. Next, we'll activate the graveyard effect of R2 to special summon Spiral Master Plan. We'll then activate her effect, adding a Spiral Mission Rescue from our deck to our hand. This is R3. We're then going to link summon Proxy Dragon to the center zone using SPYRAL Gear Drone and Spiral Master Plan. This activates the effect of Firewall 1 to special summon SPYRAL Gear Drone to the rightmost zone. Next, we'll activate the grave effect of QF2 by discarding R3. Then, of course, we'll activate the effect of QF2, adding a SPYRAL Gear Drone from our deck to our hand. We're going to overlay QF1 and QF2 for Sylvan Princessprite in the center left zone. You can activate her effect. I don't here because I'm on speed 1 strats. Then we're going to link summon Firewall Dragon FW2 in the center left zone using Spiral Double Helix, Spiral Gear Drone, and Sylvan Princessprite. We'll then activate the effect of FW1 to special summon Spiral Gear Drone to the rightmost zone. We'll then link summon Gaiasaber the Video Knight in the right zone using SPYRAL Gear Drone and Proxy Dragon, then activate the effect of FW2 to special summon Spiral Super Agent from our hand. Next, we'll activate the graveyard effect of QF1 by discarding SPYRAL Gear Utility Wire. Then we'll activate, of course, the effect of QF1, adding a SPYRAL Gear Last Resort from our deck to our hand because we have a Super Agent on our side of the board. We'll link summon Proxy Dragon to the center zone by using SPYRAL Super Agent and QF1, who is now banished. We'll activate the graveyard effect of SPYRAL Gear Drone by banishing SPYRAL Gear Big Red to special summon SPYRAL Super Agent back to our side of the field. Then activate the graveyard effect of QF2 by discarding ourselves a copy of SPYRAL Last Resort. We'll activate the effect of QF2, adding, do you even have targets still? It's like, yeah, no more targets, maybe a second Big Red in a better world. We'll link summon a SPYRAL Double Helix to the remaining extra zone, completing the extra link using SPYRAL Super Agent and QF2, but we are not done yet. Next, we're going to activate the graveyard effect of R3 to special summon SPYRAL Double Helix to the leftmost zone, then link summon Firewall Dragon to the center zone using Proxy Dragon and SPYRAL Double Helix. We're going to build the following chain: CL1 Firewall 2's effect to special summon, CL2 Firewall 1's effect to special summon, and CL3 Firewall 1's effect to add, targeting SPYRAL Super Agent and SPYRAL Last Resort in our own graveyard. We'll then resolve the chain, special summoning Super Agent and Last Resort, overlay Super Agent and Last Resort into Abyss Dweller, then banish Utility Wire, Drone, and QF3 to special summon SPYRAL Sleeper. Then finally, we can activate the ability of SPYRAL Gear Last Resort to attach itself on a SPYRAL Sleeper from our hand and set SPYRAL Gear Utility Wire with a DD Crow in hand. So this is a 2-card combo that really pluses us to infinity. We've completed the extra link. This board is incredibly resilient. The out to most Spiral boards is going to be a Kaiju over the Sleeper and a Dark Hole, which is not particularly good against this board since we can always chain Abyss Dweller, cutting our presumably Spiral opponent off of basically any of their plays. And of course, the Firewalls can return playmaking cards to our hand. We can add, say, a Helix, a Super Agent, a Drone, and even a Sleeper to set up a pretty formidable board with a master plan, etc., even after being Darkhold. So just a fantastic setup. Obviously, you can't just assume that you're going to open Machine Duplication. Sometimes you kind of have to build your own combo. This is a bit of a bricky hand, but this deck really doesn't need a lot to go off. We, of course, have the Drone already, so we'll go ahead and use the SPYRAL Resort to get ourselves a copy of Super Agent. That means we can use the effect of Drone to know the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck and give them the worst one, then special summon Super Agent. Effectively, they're down 1 card, since usually the card we give them is situational. We'll go into Helix. Helix allows us to use its effect to get Master Plan and a mission to our hand. Since we're kind of on a bricky hand, we'll go ahead and add a copy of SPYRAL Mission Utility Wire from our deck to our hand. It allows us to interact with our opponent on their turn, which means we'll have the Sleeper activation, Utility Wire, the DD Crow in our hand, and they'll have the worst of the 3 cards on top of their deck in their hand. So we still have a pretty high percentage of winning, I believe. We'll go ahead and set this copy of Utility Wire. Then we will link summon another copy of Double Helix by sending this Master Plan to graveyard. That means that we get the Master Plan effect. We'll go ahead and get a copy of SPYRAL Resort and a copy of SPYRAL Sleeper, since we already have the SPYRAL Gear Last Resort in our hand. Then we don't have to add it off of the resort, but we could if we had to. Instead, we'll just go ahead and add Drone so we can Fate Seal our opponent again next turn. So things are looking okay. A copy of SPYRAL Sleeper backed up by Last Resort, a copy of Utility Wire, the worst card of the top 3 in our opponent's hand, and of course a DD Crow if things go all the way wrong. Still a pretty nice board. So I guess it's time to talk about this deck's natural predator. It's multiple hand traps. Really, you gotta open more than one, which is frustrating at best. This is the best possible open we could ever hope for with this deck. We normal summon the SPYRAL Quick-Fix, and what do you know? Here comes Ghost, Reaper, and Winter Cherries. So that's going to significantly decrease our combo potential, but I think with the Machine Duplication, we can still make something happen. We can probably go into a copy of Firewall Dragon, at the very least, linked to something. We'll go ahead and get a copy of SPYRAL Gear Utility Wire from our deck to our hand, and our opponent is going to immediately send a Droll and Lockbird to the graveyard. So now, Machine Duplication is very bad because we don't get the effects of the other quick fixes, and we really need those cards in our hand to both extend our combo plays and make sure we can discard them to get our quick fixes back from graveyard. I mean, really, Droll and Lockbird and Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries are 2 of the most powerful hand traps against this strategy, and boy, does it fold to them. So we're back with the deck. This archetype is going to warp the format. Even if it's not tier 0, it's going to necessitate that players play at least 6 hand traps main deck. That's going to make decks more bricky and less proactive, which will make games slower and swingier, because if you don't open a hand trap, you really are just completely dead. Droll and Lockbird was already pretty good, and I think honestly if you're not main boarding it after this weekend, you are a fool. Ghost Reaper seems like a pretty good main deck hand trap as well, but only if you've got space in the extra deck, which will be hard if you're playing Spiral. For hand trap activators, Ghost Ogre is fine on the field spell or the dub Helix, though mostly I think you want to see if you can snag a Quik-Fix banish off of it. Ash Blossom can be activated in response to the double Helix trigger, and most likely cards like Droll, Maxx, and Ghost Reaper should be fired off ASAP. You should also be considering in the extra deck ways to out-set rotation, especially going second, since it seems like most of the field will probably be playing it. In general, I think a version of the above deck list with several of the 7 cards I listed earlier cut for hand traps, while keeping Destrudo in the deck is probably the best version you can muster at the current time. So that's that. Bit of a different video today, but YGO Percy is getting links soon, so hopefully I'll be back to my old bad ways shortly. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron intermittently, links are in the description, and if you have an idea for a certain deck or archetype you want to see me play on a future episode of this show, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, I'll see you Monday.